with crypto, right, you can send money using stablecoin. I think stablecoin is easier. You can of course send any other currency. Well, most cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin would take just a few seconds. Cost is actually 1 cent. Actually, it could be even less if you use some networks now. Actually, cost even less than 1 cent, a fraction of a cent. Today, I'd like to maybe talk a bit about introduction to Web3 and its potential application. But I know that most of the audience in the room, which is mainly working in Web2 traditional businesses. So first, I would like to know what industry do everyone work in? I know that he works in technically you work in finance, merger acquisition,
higher education,
IT industries.
IT industry,
printing manufacturer.
The company is a general trading company, my current job is investment to startup companies overseas, Japan, and business development with those companies.
I see.
Tech companies.
Tech company. Okay. So I think, hopefully what I'm sharing here, I'll try to make it more relevant for everyone and especially make it tailored towards Web2 related stuff, because I know Web3 seems quite difficult to understand and grasp. So without further ado, let me go into this. So I think when we talk about Web3, so I'm gonna lay out the agenda first. Like these are the things that we'll walk through. Obviously, I think each of these topics can actually be held as a standalone session. So today, we only have about maybe 45-60 minutes. I'm trying to put it in that time. Each of these topics is actually already quite big. But today, my objective is just give you a taste of some of the topics that may be helpful in your Web2 business and maybe to integrate some of it into your current business or how you look at it and evaluate. So feel free to just interrupt me anytime and ask any question during the time that you have. Before we go into the main stuff, one thing I want to say, this is actually, you probably heard this, but of course this presentation is not financial advice. This presentation is for educational and entertainment purpose only. I work in the Web3 industry, so this is actually something that you probably will hear a lot if you encounter Web3 people. The reason is that we're dealing with digital assets, and some of these digital assets are actually worth money. And of course, most of the potential use case that I have laid out there, some of them may not be immediately applicable in the Web2 space, but at this point in time, right? But in the future, they may actually be applicable. So first, I'd like to talk about what is Web3, right? So we probably heard that quite a lot, but let's quickly walk over that. So let's quickly walk through some history in the web. I think we all know that I think internet was born in like the Cold War era, right? When the America and Russia had the Cold War, and then I think Defense Department, DARPA, I think they invented something called the internet. So that was way back. I think I forgot what years, but 60s, 70s maybe. And then so Web 1 was the era that I think most of you might be familiar with. Basically, at Web 1 you couldn't do much. You were just basically browsing information, so mainly just reading, browsing, perusing. You couldn't really interact, right? There was no interaction. It was very basic. There wasn't much going on at that time. And then Web 2.0 from 2005 up until now, the present day, it has changed it. And also, I think this is the time when a lot of the big social networks like Google, Facebook, they began to take off in really high and fast speed. And Web2 basically enable people to read and write. So you can read stuff on the web, but you can also write and interact with stuff, right? So you can have your own Facebook profile. You can actually, post on somebody's wall, right? You can, nowadays, I think I'm pretty sure that everyone in this room is already familiar with Web2. And Web3, it's more like an industry term that people use to basically signify everything that, there's actually multiple definitions, but you can think of Web3 as a combination of metaverse, AR, cryptocurrency combined. That could be one way to look at it. The way I like to define Web3 is just my own definition. Anything that have to use blockchain technology in its work, in its blockchain technology. So I would probably categorize as a Web3 related business. If you don't use blockchain technology at all, then probably I wouldn't categorize it as Web3. It's just one way. Of course, metaverse and something. Some of them is just purely Web2 stuff, but if you link into tokens, cryptocurrency, things like that, then it may become somewhat Web3, right? So you can also think of Web3 like another layer of technology that can be put on top of many other industry. That's why I asked at the beginning what industry you guys worked in. So let's quickly walk over some common terminology. I think these would be helpful and help to set the groundwork and most of the topics going forward. So Web3, usually when people say Web3, they usually refer to the industry itself. The industry comprises of people, so there's of course developer, designer, everyone. There's also companies, big, small, startup, big companies in here using Web3 technology to solve some of the problems in the world, right? Or some of the problem in the Web2 or in the Web3 industry also. But today I've tried to focus more on the Web2 aspects or traditional business as they call it in Web3. So crypto token is currency or the digital asset. Okay, put it simple. I'll probably try to not talk about any of the technical stuff, but if you have technical questions, feel free to bring it on as well. Blockchain refers to the technology that was born by Bitcoin, which I'll walk over in a bit. Ledger is like you can think of it as a database. DeFi is just short abbreviation for Decentralized Finance. NFT is non-fungible token, which is of token that is basically fungible token. If it's one to one, it will be exactly the same. So you can think of $1 bill with another $1 bill. Those are basically fungible money because this $1 bill you can exchange with another one. Non-fungible token is basically if you have one token but it's completely different from the other token, it cannot be exchanged for the other one. DAO is decentralized autonomous organization. Let me brush up on this. You can think of this like organization that entity and organization in the Web3 world. They may have their own legal entity as well. They may not have, but but it's very common that many companies now establish themselves as a DAO or as a group. You can think of it as a group, like a decentralized group of people working together for a common cause. So the Constitution DAOs, for example, they tried to buy the US Constitution by raising money together. So that's one DAO, but there's many DAOs in Web3. Right? Smart contracts, you might have heard this term before too. It's basically self-executing agreements with terms written in code. Okay, so now I'll walk over some more of the technical concept, but in very easy to understand. So first, let's walk over databases. We have centralized versus distributed, right? So for centralized database, generally it's owned by a single entity. I think this is the common case for most of the companies. I mean, I'm pretty sure that even the company you work for right now, most of them have some sort of a many centralized database, right? You can think of in higher education, for example, you probably have like a centralized database of the students, for example, another centralized database of the professor or maybe of the classes. It could be broken down. Of course, it depends on how they structure it, right? And then in the Web3 world, usually database are distributed, right, by replication or sharding. Ledger is just a database, like I said earlier, put it simple, but you can also have centralized and decentralized. So for centralized, every party is dependent on one central party who would hold the ledger, right? And then the central party would power over the data and could tamper with it without the party knowing. But the decentralized way of a ledger, that every party would hold the ledger and reducing its power so that no single party can actually take over the data, right? And then try to change or modify the data without the consent or approval of certain enough number of people, right? So what's next would be, what is blockchain? Okay, now we'll talk about blockchain. So blockchain, this is a definition from Investopedia. It's a digital database or ledger that is distributed among the nodes of a peer-to-peer network. What is a node, you may be asking? A node is just a server. Think of it like a server. It's basically a server. And I mean, server is everywhere, right? I'm sure that in your companies, I mean, there's many servers running. You may not realize it or not, but there's many servers running. So a blockchain is just a decentralized, immutable, append-only, public or private ledger. But most of the stuff I talk about today will be public ledger. So the main difference between public and, well, public is just what exactly it means. Like a public is just public, meaning everyone can access and write on there. But private ledger, you need to enter it first before you can write and modify it, right? So ledger. And then the blockchain process, this is one example here. So for new data, right? New data or transaction enter into the blockchain, and then a block is represent data is created, and then the block is basically then broadcast to all the nodes in the network, and then each node choose to approve or deny the new block. Of course, this would depend on the something called consensus mechanism, and this consensus mechanism, it would depend on the blockchain itself. And then if this node, right, they self-organize themselves, and they work in accordance with the consensus mechanism. If they agree, if sufficient party agree to whether it's proof of work, proof of stake, or any proof of honesty. So these are consensus mechanism. If they once they agree to this, then if it's approved, then the new block is added to the chain permanently. That's why it's like, and hence the name blockchain, right? So you would have a new block added every time a new transaction or new thing happen, right? So that's a very simple explanation here. Any questions so far? I think we're good. Hope I'm not losing anybody. Okay. Next here we have distributed ledger technology and blockchain. Just want to put this out there so that you have a more of a bigger picture. So blockchain is actually a sub-field or sub-area under the distributed ledger technology, as you can see here, or DLT, right? And then depend on the consensus mechanism, proof of work, proof of stake, proof of honesty. It's just like the simple example where an apple is a fruit, but a fruit is not necessarily an apple, right? So the same, like distributed ledger technology may not necessarily be blockchain, because there's also Web2 stuff that actually are not related to blockchain at all, but use distributed ledger technology in the past. Go to the next one. All right, now let's talk about now that we have some of the fundamental stuff out of the way, let's dive into, so let's first look at the biggest in terms of value, I guess, value and fiat value. So Bitcoin is actually the world's first crypto, right? Bitcoin was introduced in 2008 by an anonymous creator named Satoshi Nakamoto. We actually don't know whether he, she, they, a person, a group, we don't know actually. And then he or she created this paper, this white paper, and then in it he basically proposed that Bitcoin is a digital currency exchanged through a peer-to-peer network without centralized authority, and that is why Bitcoin is open source. Open source meaning that everyone can see the code, and peer-to-peer meaning digital go peer-to-peer in the sense that people can actually send and receive money to each other, right? So that was the first basically use case of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin basically uses a proof of work consensus mechanism, like I said earlier. Basically what proof of work means is that each of the nodes have to physically produce a work, but the work in this case is basically just, you can think of it like computing power. So the node or the server is running some sort of a computation to solve a puzzle. Once they solve the puzzle, they can earn the Bitcoin. And that's why it's a proof of work. And then with every new Bitcoin, right, a new transaction, and then once a sufficient transaction is appended to the block, a new block is formed, just like what I explained earlier about this process here, right? So it applies here for Bitcoin. So that's Bitcoin, and I think recently everyone probably might have heard on the news that Bitcoin ETF is exchange traded fund. I'm sure that Haisuke-san is very much aware of that, yeah, in the finance field. ETF is officially traded now in the US, so you can actually buy something that owns Bitcoin, right, without actually owning Bitcoin itself. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's a financial instrument for you to expose it. Again, not financial advice, so just keep that in mind. And I think the second biggest cryptocurrency by value is Ethereum. Short name of it is ETH. So Ethereum is a world computer. It's a virtual machine. So there's three parts to Ethereum. One is the virtual machine. So virtual machine, you can think of it as a computing platform. Ethereum blockchain is basically where it's the storage and the memory remains. And then you have the Ethereum network, where the decentralized network, the nodes using proof of stake, Proof of stake. They actually changed from proof of work to proof of stake in, I think that was in 2022, something like that. And now that proof of stake meaning that you have to put forward sufficient number of Ethereum. Right now you have to put forward 32 Ethereum if you want to run a node. 32 Ethereum in today's dollar value, I think is roughly about $100,000 US dollar, okay, which is quite expensive. But that's basically the cost, right, to run a node. If you want to run a node yourself, but of course, many people, there's alternatives to it, so you don't actually have to own 32 Ethereum to run a node. But anyway, that's probably not the topic for today. So let's go into some of the application. So those are the concepts. Yeah? Stablecoin. I think this is actually the first application that I would like to talk about from cryptocurrency that are actually very much applicable, and many people actually very overlook this. What is stablecoin? Stablecoin is, to put it simply, is a non-volatile token. And what does that mean? It usually means that it's pegged to the value, most of them right now, because US dollar is still very much, the central currency that is used for transaction around the world. Stablecoin is mainly, most of these are pegged to US dollar, 1-to-1, meaning so one Tether would be able to exchange for $1 US, 1 USDT. And one circle USD will be able to exchange for $1 US. And I like to say that there's three, I think there may be four depending on how you define it, but so these are three types of stablecoin. Okay, basically how they differ is that because of the way the structure. So the first one, the Tether and Circle, they are fiat backed. What does that mean? It's backed by fiat, so meaning that so the companies behind these, Circle company and Tether, they deposit US dollar into the vault, into the bank. And let's say if they deposit $1,000 US into the vault, and then from there they can mint or create 1,000 USD Tether on the blockchain, because now they have the real money to back it up, right? So if someone actually want to exchange the Tether back to US dollar, technically they can do it. So that's how it works. But technically, though, they actually hold a lot of, most of their holding right now, it's not in just fiat in cash, but more like in short-term US Treasury. So US Treasury, T-bills, they have a few. Actually, let me maybe walk over this first. This is what they are holding. I think this is as of like 2023. So Tether, 80 billion is in US Treasury, direct and indirect. They also hold some Bitcoin, they also some gold, so you hold some others. So you may be wondering, what is the business model of Tether? And I actually have to say, this is one of the most, I'm pretty sure, very profitable companies in Web3. But the way they make money is, I'm sure you know that by owning US Treasury, you're basically getting the interest from there, right? So they're basically getting interest for giving people US dollar money on the blockchain. And then they also have some secure loan and the VC investment, but I think these are outside of it. So they are a very big company. I think last year, I think they reported about 2.85 billion US dollar in terms of profit for themselves, for the company itself. So it's huge. Anyway, so let's go back to this. So fiat back, that's basically what it means, fiat back. And DAI from MakerDAO this is a crypto collateral backed using smart contracts. So remember, again, I said earlier, smart contract is self-executing agreements, right? So what does it mean, crypto collateral backed? So they're actually backed by cryptos, and in this case, backed by a basket of crypto. And believe it or not, DAI is actually, some of the portion is actually backed by Circle, and then some of the other portion is backed by Tether, some of the other portion is backed by Bitcoin, some of the other portion backed by Ethereum, and so on and so forth. So they have a kind of a governance mechanism to decide which coin they want to input into to use them for their main treasury. But the main idea is that you want to keep the value as close to one. That's why it's non-volatile token. You don't want it to fluctuate. Being volatile and fluctuating is bad for a stable coin. So and then the last type is algorithmic backed. This one is a bit complicated, so I'm probably not going to walk over it. But basically, the technical and also the simple definition is stable coin. they earn yield or the interest rate by shorting Ethereum futures and capturing the funding rates. Yeah, funding rate is basically the rates you have to lend out to people who borrow in order to participate in perpetuals. Perpetual is just future, right? So those are familiar with future anyway. So that's how it is, and the idea is that they open a long and short position at the same time. You can think of it that way, and then to keep the peg at 1. So it's quite risky. I would say the third type is probably the most volatile of the 3, but it's, yeah. So even if a 1 cent deviation is still quite big, so they try not to deviate a whole lot. Again, the idea is non-volatile, right? So any questions so far? So with that said, maybe a small pop quiz. What do you think would be the number 1 fear for a stablecoin?
My question is that, I think the algorithm-backed coin used to be the Luna.
Yes, algorithmic. Yes, correct. So you actually remember very well. So yes, it's a UST. It's basically US Terra. It used to be called US Terra. So the way it works is that it was backed by Luna, but I think the Luna was another cryptocurrency token, right? Run on their own blockchain called Terra. It was a layer 1 blockchain. But okay, you can think of it like this: if it's backed by like San Hustle, or maybe just like very simple bottles of water, or things that actually don't have real material values, and eventually someday, right, when everyone running to when a bank run is like when everyone try to withdraw the money, meaning trying to exchange the money, right, for real money, then people see that this is gonna turn into a spiral, downward spiral, pest spiral. In that case, and then it loses a peg. So once it loses a peg, then basically they have to sell more Luna to try to raise up the peg. But eventually, I mean, as you sell off Luna, the token, of course, when you sell any token, the price will go down, right? It's supply and demand economics 101 or in trading. And then as Luna, eventually they will go to 0. The idea, like, of course, it's not going to go 0. I mean, they will go to like 0.0000001. Would have any 0 in there? But basically, they lose like 99% of their value just to back it up. And then once everyone see that, they just run for the bank, right? As if they will run to exchange for money for some other currency. In that sense, and that'll lead to the death of UST. I think that wiped out about like 40 billions US dollar in market value, and yeah, the founder, of course, I think he's on trial right now. Yeah.
So that kind of risk, the algorithmic back has.
Yes, this one, yeah. So yes, that's basically, this one have some risk, but the way they do it is very smart, I would say. And to be honest, this coin is actually very new in existence. This coin has only been around for, I would say, about a month, maybe a little bit more than a month. The market cap right now is about 1 billion US dollar. So meaning there's demand for this. Because people are basically earning yield, earning interest for this. As to whether it will depeg is the term when it deviates from 1. I don't know, to be honest. It's very hard to say. I think the chances are quite low. I've read some crypto pundits who said that it's very low chances because the collaterals are being backed for this token. Athena USDE is actually very strong, and it's more the fundamental is still strong. I mean, it's basically backed by Ethereum. Ethereum is very strong. It's number 2 in market cap, right? Like I presented earlier, and also we don't know actually. I think so. I think only the future will tell. So I'm gonna go on, and yeah, let's talk about usage of stablecoin, right? So for stablecoin, I would say these are the 3 main usages. So as a let's talk about as a store value. Store value is actually, I think, probably the number one of the. So out of these 3, I would say store value is probably the number 2 in terms of like how popular people use it. Okay, maybe I should have changed the order. Anyway, number 2. But usually, if you're from a developed country, people will not really care so much about it if you hold a USD or Euro. But in developing country, what happens is that you have hyperinflation, right? Argentina, Venezuela, Turkey, and actually lately, I think even Japan itself, the JPY has depegged. Well, probably shouldn't say depegged, but the JPY has devalued. I think already lost over 35 to 40% or just in the last 2 years, which is really bad, right? So I remember when I was able to exchange maybe $1 for 105, 110 110 JPY, Japanese yen. But now it's like $1 to 150, right? So that's like a 35% decrease. So for store value by people, but usually this is held by people in developing country, and the reason for this could be a lack of access to capital control, meaning they don't allow you to hold a lot of money for whatever reason, right? Or in some cases where they have like hyperinflation, like Venezuela, Argentina, then you need to hold it. The number one use case is trading asset. Trading asset is still very popular. Of course, you can be used in DeFi, many other in centralized exchanges when you buy into cryptocurrency. So that's a number one use case. But yeah, for Web2 related stuff, I would say store value and payment remittances. And why? And then I'm gonna actually address this use case because it's actually it's very good. You may not even realize it. So this can range from just paying for coffee to cross-border remittances, right? For settling payment. Okay, so so I'm gonna actually go into this, sending, receiving money crypto. That's one potential application. So I'm gonna give a very simple comparison here, and you can see in general I actually believe that if you send money, okay, in this case I'm using an example of sending $1,000 abroad, right? And in general, by using crypto, you can actually reduce the cost and time by 10x or even more. 10x I would say is the minimum, but even more if you do the math in most cases. So let's say with a traditional bank transfer, right? Let's say from Japan to US or US to Japan, I think the cost could be $30 to $50, right? Take 1 to 5 days or working days, right? So meaning maybe you don't work on weekends, so you have to wait. It could be longer, and the effort you put in is quite lengthy, right? Because you have to go through, I don't know, if you send a big money, right? They probably will ask like, what is this money for, and like why are you doing it, right? You have to fill out a bunch of forms, exactly. So you may actually notify this, and then risk is transaction may bounce, but I guess that could be one risk. And then the note, sometimes extra. There's also the receiver may be charged extra fee as well for receiving. And then WISE, they used to be called transfer WISE, 0 to 1 days. I think it's pretty fast, actually, really fast. Of course, I think excluding weekend, cost is about, again, we're talking about $1,000 here sending. So cost is roughly about 1% or $9 to $10. Effort is moderate. It's not so difficult. You need an account, right? And then fill out some very simple stuff, and then risk is none, 1% fee. So WISE is, I think, pretty much like the gold standard right now for a lot of people sending. PayPal, I think, sending international money. I think this is like for sending as friends, $5, a few minutes, very easy. But of course, the problem is that I don't know if they can actually face chargeback risk or not. For friends, I think it's probably okay, but if you're sending as a merchant, right, sending for someone, and they can also claim that, okay, this is like a fraudulent transaction. I want to get the money back, claim for the money back. Sometimes they may approve of that. So there's maybe some of the risk depending how you send it. Anyway, so these are some of the Web2 solution. With crypto, right, you can send money using stablecoin. I think stablecoin is easier. You can of course send any other currency. Bitcoin, Ethereum. Bitcoin would actually take longer. I wouldn't say a few seconds. Ethereum would be fast. Yeah. So most cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin would take just a few seconds. Cost is actually 1 cent. Actually, it could be even less if you use some networks now. Actually, cost even less than 1 cent, like fraction of a cent to send money. So very minimal. But the main risk is that you cannot reverse such transactions. So you have to make sure that it is the right recipient, right? So that's a problem. And then of course you're receiving in crypto. So if you want to exchange to fiat, that's a different topic, right? But it's not so difficult to exchange to fiat these days. There's different ways, but I'm probably not gonna talk about it during this presentation. So let's go over to NFT usages, non-fungible token. Okay, so NFT for loyalty programs is actually one of the popular use case, and here I'm giving actually a real example from Web2, right? Web2 stuff. So Starbucks Odyssey is a program that they set out in the past. I think like in 2022, until recently. Basically, you can complete these journeys, right? And then you can earn these journey stamp. But basically, these journey stamps are NFT, non-fungible token, and then Odyssey points. And then with the points, you can go to the collector store, and then you can get some perks, right? So these perks can be like new benefits and immersive experience. These are basically the things that you cannot exchange for without, you cannot exchange for regularly, right? So even if you have like a Starbucks gift cards, so the gift card you can only buy coffee, but this one like there will be some extra additional benefits. And these are the NFT. You can actually see this is on this is a symbol for Polygon. It's on the Polygon blockchain. Floor prices mean that the minimum price. So some of these NFT, as you see, is right now trading for like $29. So believe it or not, yes, this piece of art or piece of picture over here, trading for $29 if people want to buy it. And edition is how many edition there are. Yeah. So for a loyalty program. So I think by using this, it's like an experimental program they use, but again, you can see that's linking to real world business here. Another use case, I'm trying to link to a lot of the Web2 stuff. So airdrop as marketing tactics. So what is airdrop? You may be wondering. Okay, so airdrop, what it is, to put it simple, airdrop is just a way for companies or project to retroactively give you rewards for whether for your activities, for holding something, for being a member. Holding something would be equivalent to being a member, right? And then, so in this example here, this right here, this monkey picture here belongs to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's one of the most expensive NFT collection in the internet, but also in the Web3 world. I think some of them they used to trade for even up to like hundreds of thousands of US dollars at some point. So some of the benefits that they get of this holder is that they get ApeCoin. ApeCoin is just a token, right? So basically you get free money by holding this NFT or free crypto. And then you also, in real life, you also get the benefit of attending members only events. So there's actually been a lot of member only events. I think there's one in Japan also. Wherever they go, usually they kind of tag along to big Web3 conferences, and then they organize their own members only event. Or you have to hold one of this NFT to join the event. And recently, actually, this is the thing that I'm actually quite more excited about though. So Solana Saga. Solana is a layer 1 blockchain, or very big blockchain network in crypto. So they actually had already produced, I think, Saga is a phone. It's a real smartphone, Android system. So just to give you some specs, I think the old Solana Saga, this is Saga number 1, version 1. I think Saga number 2 is actually in process right now, and then people are purchasing and will be in the future. This thing has like 12 gigabyte RAMs, right? 512 gigabyte of storage and 6.67 inch OLED display. It costs about $1,000. So even if you pay $1,000 for this, all of these rewards, these are in airdrop, cryptos and then NFT. Most likely you actually will make up for the value of the phone itself, or even more than the value of the phone itself. So technically you can get a phone for free and you actually get paid for buying this phone, kind of in a way. So just to give you an example, this right here is a token bonk. You think when it was airdrop, right, it was maybe worth at maybe $500, but then if you sell it the high, it could be worth $1,000, right? And then some access protocol here, I think it was the amount of airdrop was worth like $400, something like that. And then Samo coin, this one only worth like $20. But this Saga Node Monkey here, I think it used to have the price floor of about $1,250. So it is already more than the phone itself. Right now it's actually only 2.8 Solana, which is about 500. No, actually more than, yeah, it's 550, roughly like that. 550 US dollars. So technically you can get
Is
money.
Solana itself come with it or no?
Solana, no, you have to buy the Solana token.
Okay,
separately.
you need to buy the token though.
Yeah,
but
but
this phone is come with other token.
So they will be rewarded in the form of a airdrop. Airdrop, you can think of it like basically they will be sent to you. So when you buy this phone, right, you have a wallet, and they link the wallet with you will specify before you buy, because you need a wallet basically. I mean, so that they can send you the rewards. You can think of these as rewards, right? They will send you the rewards linked to that wallet, and then basically you would get airdrop these tokens or these NFT. These are NFT. These are tokens for free, basically, and then there may be some other perks as well.
And then I can trade someday.
Of course, you can sell it for money. You can sell for money. So basically, you get it for free. Again, this is not financial advice, but anyway, yeah. So right now, actually, they have Solana Saga 2, which is a newer one, and that is actually cheaper. I think Solana Saga 2 is like $500, so half the price. And then, of course, the rewards will be. I mean, a lot of people are thinking that it's gonna, for sure, the cost will be covered. I'm actually also quite sure about that too, because if they could basically use a reward, so yeah, it's very interesting.
Like a smartphone that you can actually
Yes, it's actually a real smartphone. It's a real smartphone. Yeah, this is the thing that I also had some like doubt at first too, but like I said, it has 12 gigabyte RAMs. This one, 6.67 inch OLED display, right, and then 512 gigabyte storage. So I think it could be compared to your Google Pixel or maybe some other Samsung phone as well too. And this is run on Android, so it's open, Android system. It comes with some other special things that related to Web3 as well. So for example, I think they have come with like some special wallet feature for Web3. It's a very, very Web3 specific feature though. If you want, of course, you can use it as a regular phone. So basically, you get a phone and then you get free stuff. So yeah, Solana Saga 2 is out now.
US company? Is it US company?
To be honest, I don't really know whether. I think the phone. So I think the story that I know with the Solana is a blockchain company. I forgot where they headquartered actually. It's quite murky where a lot of these are headquartered, but. The thing is, they bought probably I actually don't know. Anyway, but Solana, they bought a phone manufacturing company, and then in the end, that phone manufacturing company is making now for Solana, Sega. Yeah, so they bought a phone. I forgot the name of the phone company, but basically they bought that, and now so that's why they're capable of making their own device, right? So Solana blockchain is now not only doing the software, but also doing things with the hardware, right? Trying to get people on board into Web3.
So is this one of the reasons Solana is quite popular this year?
There's quite a lot of reasons actually, and I think yeah, your question is actually very good. Yeah. So yes, I would say this is one Solana, but it's only a small part. No, the main reason is that Solana transaction fees are extremely low, so it's like a fraction of a cent.
Right.
As opposed to on Ethereum on most of the blockchain networks on Ethereum, usually still the cost is still more, and I think the speed is slower. So Solana cost is very low, and also a lot of meme coins right now. I think meme coins, these are like meme coins, right? They don't hold any intrinsic value. They just basically come out of pop culture, things like that, and then So I think but I would say that the technology is really good. A lot of meme coins, a lot of activities. There's a lot of innovative, consumer-friendly dApps and apps. I'll probably might walk over one of the dApp later on in this presentation on Solana. And I think those are probably the reason why you see it so popular. To put it simple. Okay, very feel free to bring more questions. Okay. Actually, what I want to say about this is actually how could you build users in Web2? It's actually quite tricky. So I would say that, you can basically somehow, you have to link it with somewhat of Web3 aspect as well, but you can retroactively reward your Web2 user for doing some sort of activities, right? Whether it's like they use your products. Let's say, you work for a printing company, let's say you reward user for using the printing service or printing something like that, and then but you need to have some way to measure, right? So using like Web3 technology to measure that, and then once they satisfy certain threshold, then maybe you can airdrop, give some rewards. What the reward would be, it could just be an NFT, right, of a printer, for example, right, of your company product would also be a way. And NFT, you could have it on, you can trade it on marketplace or do whatever they want with it. So that could be one way. I think in the future we'll probably see more. Right now, I think airdrop mainly for Web3 mainly, but in the future I do see that this would be somewhat applicable in Web2 also. Okay, and now let's walk into blockchain and real estate. Real estate is huge. Property ownership transfer. This have to do with a smart contract. Okay, so for this one here, so I put a simple flow here. Let's say Bob wants to sell the house, and then John wants to buy the house, right? And then you have a matching on some sort of exchange or marketplace in the middle, and then they have a matching, right? And then the smart contract would basically receive the assets. And then smart contract, again, what I said earlier, smart contract self-executing agreements, right? So basically, and then where the terms and conditions are written in code, and with code you cannot change. So like you cannot just say that. So Bob, let's say you want to say, I don't want to sell this house anymore. I changed my mind. Well, too late, because if you have already written that in the smart contract terms and conditions, then it will be sold. According, so basically the moment, let's say the moment John sent the money, and then it will be sent to Word, and then the land deed he digitize and then sent to Word for John who bought the house, right? Automation of clearing, settlement, and then digitization. All of this can be done on the blockchain. So this is one application that's actually happening now, and you may be wondering why, right? So improved transparency and trust is one reason. Because you can see a lot of things on the blockchain, people can actually verify it, can check for it. Speed and efficiency is number 2. And then third would probably be safety and security, because most of the blockchain network is actually quite secure in nature. One use case. Another one is fractionalized real estate investing. Okay, and I think earlier you were asking about Solana. So this app right here is actually on the Solana blockchain. Parcel, it's spelled P-A-R-C, how it's pronounced, like Parcel. Basically, Parcel allows trading of derivatives. Derivatives are basically these, or basically like just exactly like what they write on here. You can speculate on rising and falling real estate markets in the US. So you basically, the way it works, you deposit some sort of a stablecoin, USDC, like I said earlier, USD Circle, and then from there you can speculate on whether a small portion, a land. I think in this way they put it in like square foot. But it's just for like one big city, for example, New York City, San Francisco. You would speculate whether it's go up or go down. If it go up, you and then if you go long and you go up, then you win. If you short or like or if the price go down, then you would earn money. Kind of simple to put it like that. That's kind of how it works in a nutshell.
Real estate? The real stuff?
Yeah, real estate.
Wow.
So the left one, but the thing is that so for Parcel here though, you don't own the real estate. You just you trading, so you speculate using.
For the asset?
No, you're not even trading the right. You're trading the future. So this is like a financial concept actually.
Trading the future.
Yeah.
Ah,
Perpetuals. You can think of like perpetuals or future.
Yeah.
So these are like derivative assets, right? So you can go long. Long is basically you think the price will go up. Short is that you think the price will go down. And then you make money. You can also put on leverage, but leverage is quite risky. I don't actually recommend leverage at all. So yeah, and then if you win, you would gain the money in the stable coin, USD Circle.
Wow.
So you don't own any real estate in this one on the left, right, on Parcel. But if you want to own real estate, the second one here may actually turn your dream into reality. It's called Realty. I haven't tried out this platform yet, but apparently you can invest. People from all over the world, right? Now you can invest and own fractional tokenized ownership of real estate in the US. So apparently here, I guess they have expected income of 10% if you own this house on Linden Street. I have no idea where this is. I think this is in Michigan or somewhere. Anyway, they have apparently, so they have done a lot of that. Yeah, they have a marketplace.
That is almost like a blockchain version of the crowdfunding for the housing.
This one is just like for you to own it. This is not crowdfunding actually. So it's like individual.
Okay,
it's like individual. So like yourself.
Portion of the asset.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
The coins.
Yeah, and then I think you would. I believe these houses are generating income. I think that's why you can see the expected income as percentage and then percentage. Yeah.
I see.
And then you can sell the token, and then they may have their own token too. Like, yeah, I'm not fully understand how this works, but yeah, it's really fascinating. Yeah, so that's why today I want to just focus more on the Web2 aspect, like
Sorry.
how Web3 is. Yeah, but of course.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, this is like how it's like basically disrupting the real estate industry. Okay, decentralized science. DeSci is a short term for it, short name for it, versus traditional science. So this is another area. I don't know how many of you actually work with. I don't think many work with like directly in. This is like hardcore science. I'm talking science. I'm talking about like biology, physics, chemistry. I'm talking the extremely difficult stuff like molecular biology, things that are actually. So let's talk about the why first. Yeah, I think they did this Web3. They came out with this movement of decentralized science when they realized that in traditional science you have a small, closed, centralized group control the distribution of funds, right? Even where it's like a university or research think tanks, whatever, right? And then they may limit your collaboration, and then the funding decision is take a long time, right? And with also limited transparency, so people don't actually know how the decisions are being made, and very few funding mechanisms, right? So there's a lot of problem, and of course, when you publish a paper, right? Most people say that it can be inefficient, biased, exploitative, and then peer review work is unpaid. This is actually, I don't know if anybody here hold a PhD or not, but I know all of us hold an MBA or master degree. But basically, peer review work is actually very tough, because peer review work is like you have to read a scientific paper for one of your peer. You don't actually get paid, but I mean you do get like some sort of a credential, I believe that's how it is. But in the end, the one who's benefiting is the publisher, right? So it's not the one who's reviewing it. And then home institution own the IP. You generate, so let's say if you work for Thunderbird, for example, so then Thunderbird would actually own the IP if you are like a professor researching for it, but then access to the IP is not transparent, publication bias, researcher more like share experiment, right? So and then why these are better, or maybe better is some of the reasons. This is actually given by the Ethereum DeSci page, so you can collaborate with peers from all over the globe. That's one. Second is that you can actually raise funding. You can earn tokens, a reputation for peer reviewing work, and of course you can actually raise funding. I think that's one of the biggest one. I mean, that's one of the very important problems. You can raise funding for doing hardcore scientific research, right? Research that could benefit mankind as a whole in the future. So I see this as one of the best. I would say this is one of the best. I'm actually very excited when I would be happy if more people would know about this, and for sure, because this is one of the movement that's going on quite well. Another reason why DeSci is good is you own the IP, you generate and distribute it, and again, basically to put in short, you can earn money or earn tokens, right, by doing the work, and then you can also raise funding. Let's quickly just talk about the ecosystem. Probably not going to talk about all of this, but the landscape. So you have the publishing. So a lot of these are all like Web3 companies here, and they are trying to do the same thing that the Web2 companies are doing, except on the blockchain and in a much transparent and in a more efficient way, right? Whether it is in publishing, so we help with publishing, DAOs, so these are like DAOs that focusing on a certain topics, whether it's like genome, ocean, reputation, moon, there's so much stuff, actually I don't even know most of these stuff. Biotech, so of course there's a lot of things focusing biotech, like molecular biology, FAG, I think that's like some sort of biological, what is it, animals, I suppose, molecule research. Financing, of course, that's for fundraising, like I said earlier. Ecosystem is like helping the ecosystem, science, art, and NFT. This part is more like the fun part of it, I would say artistic and fun part to share with the other. Community and chats, I guess, is like for people to collaborate and talk to each other. Open science is probably for open science. Yeah. Foundation institutes, I guess, function similar way to how it works in Web2. Data storage and protocols, right? So, because you need to have some way to store the data and then interact each other. So that's a quick walk through the landscape. This is thanks to the DeSci wiki. They created this. So yeah, that's.
Is that open information?
Yes.
This is open information?
Yes. This is open information. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all open information. Yeah, the thing about Web3 in general, I would say that 95 or even 99% of the stuff going on Web3 is very much like open, like as in open source. Mm-hmm. Information is open, it's very transparent. A lot of people are trying to work together and collaborate. Just one story about this. When I was traveling, I met a group of people, and I did not even know about this topic, right? It's something is called longevity. I don't know if anybody heard of longevity, right? Yeah. So longevity, if you think about it, if you make it as a for-profit company, right? I mean, we all are like business-oriented, so we all know it is actually extremely hard to make a longevity for-profit company. And the reason for that is that how are you gonna make sure people don't die, right? So it's like it's a product that is extremely hard to make, right? So that's why this type of model is fit for something like longevity, because they can actually raise funding, and you don't actually have like a quarterly, because if you're like a for-profit company, if you're public, then you have like quarterly, right? And then you have like goals, and you have to be able to achieve this and that. But it's like I would say it's like open science in a way, because it's like one area where we don't know whether we can actually do it, right? Longevity, but people are researching about it and trying to think. But yeah, so that's why I think this is quite fitting. So
I think maybe in the future, one of those companies, they have a really high potential with a big company.
sure, yeah, for sure.
That's I'm interested in. Silicon Valley is always like this. We need to really to find out who's really a winner, the winning horse.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that once they produce a lot of this research, and then big companies, I think maybe pharmaceutical or biotech company, right, may actually want to partner with this company and then eventually get them to work together, or maybe fund doing research. I think that's the objective.
Who is a major player as a nation for this?
Nation? So, well, I mean,
of course, United States.
I think, in general, Web3, the thing about Web3 is that it's quite global from day one. So, and the thing about Web3 is like, it's global in the sense that you don't need to belong to a nation to work. It's decentralized, permissionless. So people can, I think a lot of these stuff, you can participate regardless of where you are, if you want to contribute, right? I think it's like simple way to contribute, such as if you want to write stuff, if you want to promote, if you want to help out the community, if you want drawing arts, for example, I think that's also, so there's multiple ways, to be honest, and then, so you don't really need to be a nation, but I think, in terms of number of people, most of course, I mean, USA and European countries, because some of the topic are more for developed countries, right? I mean, for example, like molecular biology research, I don't think you see that a lot in like developing country. And longevity research, that's more like a developed world, right? Because as people have more money, they probably, I don't know, maybe rich people want to live longer or live forever, right? And so that's the thing about it.
So what will be the reward for participating in this DeFi ecosystem? Is it rewarded as a cryptocurrency or?
Excellent question. And yes, so like I put here earlier, right? So you can earn tokens and reputation for writing works. You can raise funds, fundraising here, like there's a lot of these financing companies. So you can raise funds in cryptocurrency.
But it is in crypto.
Yes, correct, in crypto. Yeah, so Web3 mainly crypto. But of course, like I said, there's a mechanism where you can off-ramp. Off-ramp is when you exchange crypto for fiat money. So you can, off-ramp it for fiat money. It's not so difficult.
I'm helping a biotech company, and they in the future they want to do DeFi, but DeSci.
Decentralized Science.
I'm not sure whether they will stay that long before they run out of money.
I see.
They can do the fundraising by using this platform, but the main money used will be for the payroll, right? The payroll is
payroll. Yeah.
So, but if they collect many Ethereum or any other crypto
stablecoin,
but they cannot pay that to their employees or people like me. So I was wondering.
So they can't. Yeah, I think your question is actually very, very good in the sense. Like I said, there's basically an off ramp. You can think of it like a bridge. You have to. I think the simplest way is you go to an exchange and then you sell your crypto, so USDT, USD Tether, or USD Circle or Ethereum for real fiat money, whether that's JPY, USD, or whatever it is. So certainly, and of course, I mean a lot of these DAOs, they actually the way they, I mean, for most of the income, right? If it's income in crypto, But of course, they also need to pay for like the daily expense, right? Living expenses in fiat currencies, whereas it's like euro or USD. Because right now you cannot use crypto to pay for like most of the stuff, right? Like you can only use crypto to pay for very little things right now in the real world. So that's why they just off-ramp it, exchange it for fiat, and then pay. Yeah, so it's completely doable. I think a lot of these DAOs probably hold a lot of monies as well, I believe. Cannabis, general, interesting, right?
Is that the company or is that
No, these are
crypto?
Are you talking about these on the left?
Icon or...
These are so okay. The thing about Web3 is that these are not like companies in the traditional sense that you know of, right? So these are called DAOs or decentralized autonomous organizations. That's why earlier I was walking over to this. So it depends on the law of the country. You can also be recognized as an entity. I think in the US, yes, I think you can be recognized as like an entity, right? But it's quite complex the way to structure it. But typically it's not a company, so they don't pay like regular taxes. But if you, I think the tax aspect is actually very complicated for that aspect, right? But usually they organize as a DAO.
But how do you secure the quality of the data and the information that people try to write?
So I think this is why like peer review, right? So in science, what they do is peer review. So let's say that if you're like a professor of biology, right, and then you would review another professor of biology because you would be able to understand, right? Because you need like a lot of scientific knowledge. It's very hardcore for people to actually understand. So in order to, so that's probably how they would do it. To verify, and then okay, now let's talk about one of the fun topic, decentralized social network. Okay, so you can think of these as the Web3 versions of the social network, and we all are in some sort of social networks, right? Online, Facebook, Instagram, Line is also a social network. Line most popular in Japan. Many other. LinkedIn is also a social network. YouTube is also a social network. So just to give you some taste here, so we have Mastodon is like a web Twitter version, but for Web3, Twitter or X, now I think they call it X. Right? YouTube is like a decentralized YouTube. And you may be wondering like why do they want to put it on YouTube? Okay, there's multiple reasons. One is that so on YouTube, right, when you have to play by YouTube rules, and let's say if you publish something that's against the terms and condition or the community condition rules that they do, then they can remove your video. And also the pay on YouTube is actually quite skewed towards the platform. I forgot the exact percentage, but I think creator only get paid maybe 45% or something like that, 45 or 55%, somewhere in that range of the revenue they make. But on something like decentralized tube, I think you can keep most or all of your earnings because it's in crypto. Webcast is like a new one that's coming out. This is like very much Web3 centric right now, so I think very few people actually use webcast in Web2. But I have a webcast profile. This is from Fatcaster, one of the company that created it. So it's like another social network based on themes or topics, so people can just organize themselves. You can think of like Reddit. Reddit would be the closest Web2 alternative for that. Yeah. But of course, all of these are decentralized in the way that so the servers and everything. I mean, the storage, the data live on multiple servers, so it can be saved and keeping track, right? And another one, maybe I should walk over. Is a Lens protocol. It's actually very big. So Lens protocol, it's one of the huge. It's the company behind this is called Aave. Aave is like a huge DeFi lending, borrowing protocol platform. It's huge right now, and basically they can use the cool thing about Lens protocol. You can think like this: you own your NFT would be your profile, and then with that profile you can use it to log in or interact with any of these protocols that are built on top of the Lens protocol, or any of these protocol project, or whatever you want to call these, that are built on top of Lens protocol. So you have like identity, you have music, you have curation, creative monetization, events, developer tooling, social media breach. There's so many different things going on here. But basically, the idea is that you would be able to move your profile. And why it's so important? So let's say right now, okay, let's say for example, if I have 3,000 followers on Facebook or LinkedIn, right? But if I quit LinkedIn or if I quit Facebook, those followers would not follow me, right? If I move to another platform, I have to begin again from beginning. Let's say if I go to Twitter, now I have to begin again from zero if I create a new account. But on Lens protocol here, whoever followers you have, or you can keep and move around with it. So that's why it's like, this is like the underlying infrastructure, right? Lens protocol, and then all of the other protocols on top of it here, you can use it along. So that's how it is different from Web3 one way. And most of the social network, I think most of them right now, you can use a sign in with a wallet, but you can also sign in with your regular Gmail, Hotmail, whatever email you use as well, because they're trying to make it more seamless for Web2 users as well too. Because the adoption is still very low compared to Web2. So yeah, that's a decentralized social network, a quick walkthrough, and decentralized storage. Okay, I think if you work in the tech industry, you probably might have known like Amazon S3 bucket, right? Where you store, S3 bucket is like basically where you can store your files online. So this company here, I just want to point out, this is just one company, OOT. I think they're based in US, OOT, or I don't know how to pronounce the name actually. But it's a decentralized network for online storage. They also do like some AI stuff and compute stuff that will be released later. But basically it's equivalent to like S3 in a way. But if you see the cost over here, okay, it's quite small, but let me read it out loud. If you use an OOT over here for a year, it would cost for 100 terabytes, it would cost $95,000 US. But on Amazon, right, AWS, it would cost $140,000 US. Google Cloud, that'll be almost double, like 180,000, and on Microsoft Azure, it's 125,000. Right, so you can actually see there's some savings here already by using this instead of saving on Amazon S3. And then the infrastructure is like decentralized nodes. Right now they have more than 30,000 nodes or servers across 108 countries. In Japan, there's also some nodes as well too. So you can see here, 2 super nodes, 31 edge nodes, and yeah, it's actually quite exciting. And they're doing a lot of stuff. So the point I want to share that companies can also now use a decentralized storage, pay in fiat or pay in crypto. I think they receive discount, they pay in crypto, something like that. But you can use it instead of using like AWS or centralized stuff.
How is the security?
And security is great actually, because they use so the consensus mechanism, because you can also define, because here they have the enterprise level performance. So of course you can also set the different permission levels. So basically same as using S3, except that and it is secured by their own blockchain network. Also, so they have a very technical, probably I'm not going to deep dive into that here, but yeah, so they have a mechanism to basically secure the file and make sure that it's safe. According, I think they do a proof of honesty is a consensus mechanism on their own layer 1 blockchain, and they use it.
But for example, with a blockchain, sometimes they happen with the hard fork.
Hard fork, yeah.
But this kind of storage is still safe.
I don't think there will be a hard fork here. Very unlikely, extremely unlikely actually. And hard fork usually only happen when you have a very big number of people. But usually, typically, you need to have more than 50%, right, of people who want to branch away. Basically, hard fork is like basically to create a new branch or new blockchain because they disagree on some certain central decision or how the organization moving forward. So, and I think the way they're trying to keep that is that, of course, you have to actually create an ecosystem where people are winning as in they are earning money. They are earning tokens, right? A token you can exchange for money, obviously, but then earning tokens and people are happy. The system is fair, equitable, and people can see it. So as long as people are happy, usually they don't need to have a hard fork. Typically, so in the past, right, for Ethereum, I mean the reason why they did the hard fork, I think year 2017 maybe, was because Ethereum was hacked, right? Back then it got hacked, and then a group of people, if they don't want to fork it, then they would keep the same. Now it's called Ethereum Classic. Yeah, but if the one who actually agree that to fork it, at that time and create keep it and then create a new chain, then they would do it. But usually you need to have like a majority voting, some sort of a decentralized governance mechanism, right, to handle that. So this one, I don't think that will be a likely scenario at all, because again there'll be and the reason why I can say that is, one is that if you fork a network like this, you have to imagine how would you be able to gather all these nodes. It's actually this company has actually been in, I think they've been doing research in like 2018, but I think they run the testnet. Testnet is like where it's not real money, but they've been running the testnet for like 2 or 3 years, right? So they're actually like trying to build the networks, because all this network, you imagine, all these nodes, they don't come online just over one day, right? It's built over years. So even if you hard fork it, how are you gonna ensure that? How are you gonna get all the nodes to carry over? Because you need these servers to run your nodes for you in order to secure the blockchain. That's one, but also to basically provide the service as in like the online storage service here. So there's a lot of hurdles to overcome if you want to hard fork it. So, and then also the technology is also one. So you would also have to know the technology. And I think right now, to be honest, if I remember correctly, their proof of honesty, it is, actually I don't remember whether it's a fully open source or not, but I think it's maybe like I'm not exactly sure, so probably don't quote my word for that, but it's actually really hard. To the point, it's actually really hard if you don't know what you're doing. You have to actually know the underlying technology to be able to fork it to. So it's not as simple, yeah. So I think this, with those reasons combined, it's very unlikely scenario.
Okay. Who are the owners of those servers?
So excellent question. Yeah, servers. So these are actually operated by individuals and companies, both. But I would say majorities are probably just individuals. Some are like small company, medium company, people. And I think that's one of the common movement in Web3 is in order to decentralize the network, right? You want more and more people, because imagine right now for AWS is just like, one company controlling almost everything, right? Or Google Cloud and control. So if they decide to change the pricing or decide to change the thing, you cannot do much about, right? And then, but here you have individual who running servers out of their house, out of their office, out of their whatever. Or companies want to contribute. Of course, the reason why they run it, because they earn the tokens. And these tokens you can exchange for stablecoin, crypto trading, or exchange for Bitcoin, exchange for whatever. So, and then also they helping out the network. So that's why the incentive is actually very important here for it to work. So I would say individual, small company, big companies. And now I think, as far as I know, this company is already, they have an enterprise customers who are using their service because the service is really good. So they actually trying to shifting the focus. It's like very, very different from many other Web3 company. So they're targeting Web2 companies to sell their products to Web2 company. And then of course the Web3 people are the one who running the nodes, but the clients of UT over here is a Web2 company, most of them. So actually, I think their go-to-market strategy is quite smart. And of course, there's many other companies that's running decentralized storage, but this is just one company that I think is really doing a really good job. So I want to highlight it as an example here.
And when did they start this business?
So
when
they started this business, I think the founder has been doing research in I think one of the guy has like a PhD from MIT or something like that, MIT or one of the very big, Ivy League school in the US. I think he's been doing research in 2018. And I think the idea came out of when they were doing the research, right? And afterward they decided to open a company. And so probably just a few years, I would say. Because again, they run the testnet. They have to run and bootstrap a lot of these nodes. So they run the testnet over the past couple of years. And the reason why for testnet, I mean just like similar to Web2, right? You have a development environment, you have a staging environment, and you have the production environment, right? So basically the same thing here. you don't want to day one launch on like production environment. What happened if it's go wrong, right? So the same thing here. Except here, they actually trying to test to make sure that the network, the incentive, the data passing, the whether hosting the file and storing everything actually works or not. That's why the testnet was there, and also get people to familiar with it. Yeah, so it's a very long and lengthy process, but it's one very good company. So that's good. Okay, so yeah, with question. Okay, then let's go to the last topic. I want to talk about X to earn. Okay, this topic is actually very easy to understand, and it's now there's a lot of these actually happening in Web3. So this will be the last topic today that I want to walk over. So let's go first. So we have play and read. Play is actually just exactly as it sounds. So play is like you play games and you earn NFT and cryptocurrency. That's it. I think one of the biggest game that most people in Web3 know. I think Web2, not many people know about this, but Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity is actually a Vietnamese company. I think they reached over like $1 billion market cap in the last bull run back in like 2021, I think, 2022. Basically, you have buy an NFT and then you play the game and then you earn the token, something like that. To be honest, I never played that game, but because the game it doesn't feel as fun like a Web2 game that you play. You just feel like you're just doing some monotonous tasks. But of course, I think lately Web3 games have improved a lot. So they're improving day by day. But of course, there's a lot of the play to earn game where you can just play, earn tokens. Simple as that. And then token can be exchanged for stablecoin, right? Or whatever you want. And then this one here is actually one that I'm very excited about. And the funny thing about this is there's a huge Japanese community right now in this, and actually it's quite surprising because you can actually see some of the Japanese word here actually is quite blurry. Yeah, so actually looks like some guy from Japan probably. So the way this works is that you would curate the articles, contents, website pages or whatever, right, online, things that can be read online. And that's the whole idea. You curate the article and people vote on it. And if you are so they vote on it every week, right? So the number one content would get 1,000 read token. This would be one of the cryptocurrency. I don't think it's actually live on trading yet, this token. So, but in the future probably it will be. And then number 2 to 10, you can get 400 read token. It's actually really innovative. I actually, when I saw this project, I was like, wow, this is really good and useful. It's basically encouraging people to read more, but also read topics that people think are good, right? Because again, you would only upvote, or you would only vote for the best one. Right? You don't vote for like the mediocre. You don't vote for like some some articles or things that don't make sense. So anyway, so yeah, there's just these 2, play and read. Okay, let's go to some more. Watch and walk. Okay, walk is Steppen. I think Steppen used to be. I think a lot of people said that Steppen was like a Ponzi-nomics, as in it's like a Ponzi scheme in the sense that the people who come later would fund the previous or the earlier buyers. To be honest, I never tried out Steppen, but basically the idea behind it, I think you buy a pair of shoes as an NFT, you own it, and then afterward, as long as you walk, you would earn the token, right? Steppen token in this case. And that's it, it's as simple as that. And the watch here, so Brave is like a browser. It's the same as like they use the same engine as Google Chrome. Google Chrome is open source, and Brave rewards, they give you reward for watching advertisement. You basically just watch ads, and then you earn the BAT. It's called Basic Attention Token, BAT token. The BAT is the short term for it. Yeah, so you just earn rewards for watching ads. But of course, these are like you actually, you watch. You can. I guess you can also choose like what type of ads you want to watch also. But I don't know if people are actually earning money from this. But yeah, I guess that's one way. So just to share with you some of the things, And then last but not least, the new one, eat and sleep. Believe it or not, yeah. So eat and sleep right now. So Plato, I haven't tried this. I think this is only in the US probably. I would say. Apparently, you can get paid to eat. Plato is an eat to earn platform, rewards user with their FAT token. So the token is FAT, which is like FAT for collecting. So you basically need to collect, verify, receipt-backed, user-generated contents. Basically, yeah. So basically, you need a receipt, right? And then apparently, this data would power the ChatGPT for food. I don't know what that means, but anyway, the point, you can get paid, in FAT token for eating, going out to eat. So it's pretty cool. And last one here is this is called Sleepagotchi. I think that's the name is somewhat of the Tamagotchi. It's a very popular game in Japan. I actually never played, but apparently, so the name comes from some of that Sleepagotchi. But it's an NFT powered sleep game. I think you would buy an NFT of this, maybe this cute little animal here. I don't know what it's called. Maybe the Sleepagotchi. Yeah, that's probably the name of it. And then it gamifies it with with NFT and then Web3 incentives, right? So basically, I think what they're trying to do is that they're trying to incentivize you to pay more attention to your sleep, right? Measuring it properly, making sure enforcing like a good habit, because also like going to bed on time is also a pretty good habit, right? And then sleeping enough hours, things like that. So I haven't tried this either, but I think this is also one of the potential new trend that could happen, right? So sleep, yeah. Any questions so far? Okay, I think we definitely run over time already. Anyway, so last but not least, these are 4 books that I have read, all of them about Web3. So these are all actually beginner-friendly titles that I can recommend about crypto and Web3. So one is a book of crypto. I think this is like a very comprehensive guide to understanding Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, digital asset. This one is very little technical detail, just a little bit. The Everything token is more about like NFT. If you want to learn NFT stuff, then the Everything token will probably be the one you want to learn about. And then Web3, this one is like Web3 in general. So I mean, it's many different topics about Web3 by a guy who's actually, he also wrote Blockchain Revolution, another book. It's also quite popular. And then the last one is Chris Hickson. I believe this guy is like a VC in the US, very famous VC, venture capital in the US. Read, Write, Own, building the next era of internet, and his whole thesis is about Web3 is about read, write, and now you can actually own your own assets, right? So you have digital ownership, because in Web2 you can write, interact with it. But when I said earlier, if I move my profile from LinkedIn, if I decide to stop using Facebook or LinkedIn, I cannot take my followers with me. So I think I don't own my followers, right? I cannot take them along. But in Web3, most of the time you can take your followers along and take your publication, your posts along as well too. Export it to another platform or maybe take it somewhere else. And these are all very beginner friendly. There's no very little technical stuff. They will also explain to you like how I explained to you about some of the terms that you learned through the day, so you can very beginner friendly. Of course, there's some other advanced titles as well, but I probably wouldn't recommend those for people who are new to Web3. Yeah, so these would be good to pick up. And yeah, with that said, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I also run my own YouTube channel, and actually this seminar will later be posted on my channel. It's called Colors of Web3 and Entrepreneurship. It is on YouTube. You can find me there. And with that said, open up the floor for questions, and thank you for listening.
I have this question. Web 3.0. Anyway, when you look back on Web 2.0, I remember like 2005 or 2006. At that time, that everybody was, myself was very excited with more like a information power station. Okay. Like a Google, try to make a really power station. It's called data center, right? Data center. And then, Web 2.0 has created a new phase at the time. So because of that, basically GAFA become winner for that, at the time. Yeah. After that. And then Microsoft later came, like 2016. But now the 3.0, who is going to be a winner of this competition? A new phase, like at that time, it's a huge, the movement at the time.
Yeah.
Really, because data center looks like there's a server in the room. At the time, everybody believed that, but then Google made those, server in like a bridge server.
Yeah.
Every place there, and conceptually they made a data center, right? Then nowadays, the NVIDIA came out to GPU to make this data center become supercomputer. Web 3.0, how does it fit, and how make it? It's only my interest in who is going to be winner for make big money on this field. That's what I'm interested in.
I think that everybody is interested.
Yeah. So I mean, always like when this kind of technology changes happens, there's a lot of company. I invested those companies.
That's right.
Someone always gone, right?
Yes.
But like NVIDIA become huge, right? So this is a new phase. So 3.0. Just I want to ask you, I don't really, don't worry, it's my responsibility.
Okay.
But who your guess?
Yeah.
Who is going to be winner for this competition next 5 to 10 years? 3.0.
That's actually quite a hard question to answer. I think depends. If you're asking, are you asking like question as in who the winners in the companies, right?
Yeah.
Probably more interested companies, right? I would say most of the Web 2 companies right now, they're not doing so much in the Web 3 spaces at the moment. But Google and Microsoft and also Amazon, they still benefiting from Web 3 in the sense that a lot of the nodes or server still need to be run on the cloud, right? And some of them still choose to run it on Amazon or Google or on Microsoft. If you're talking about the cryptocurrency project that are big, that are actually, but because the thing is that the thing about cryptocurrency, the organization is that they're not owned by owned by many people, right? Decentralized.
Yeah.
So it's not one like central identity, but the cryptocurrency that will become big for sure is Bitcoin. But again, Bitcoin is not owned by any company. There's one guy though who actually keep buying Bitcoin. It's called Michael Saylor. He turned his company from like a traditional IT company now into like an investment company, because it's now what his company is known for. So I think he might actually be doing well in the future. He holds a lot of Bitcoin right now, so it's like how he's like really leveraging and capturing this Web3 movement, right? But he's been buying Bitcoin for I think a few years, and for big companies, I really have to say I think NVIDIA is doing extremely well. And right now there's actually there's one topic I didn't really touch upon, but decentralized computing or GPU. You can also already do like basically sharing GPU resources on using Web3 network, Web3 blockchain.
Okay.
That's also one area. So quite hard to say. But if you ask me like who would be the biggest layer 1 blockchain or the main blockchain being used by a lot of people, I would say that Ethereum is going to be quite big for sure, because they're like the original, right? They came up with the whole smart contract concept and everything, and many other blockchain layer like basically have to rely on them or work on top of them. Solana is another one. Not be good, but again, these are not like companies in the sense, right? I mean, these are like they have I think usually the way they structure one is like they have a foundation, which is like more like caring about the future of the token, the cryptocurrency, and there's a lot of activities they do, and then there's a company side of it too. Depends, but the company side they may focus on some other aspects of it, but they don't really function the way as like in Web 2 though. But I think of course a lot of the thing Web 3 right now trying to do, we try to onboard more new people from Web 2 into Web 3, but using very simple stuff, things that people are already familiar with. Right, and then getting people to use Web3 products. Right. So I would say that in the future there might be some shift. That's why I think that this book, one of the reason why I want might shed some light onto that. Where people are now owning more stuff, but I think that big GAFAM or FANG company is not going to go away anytime soon. Yeah. They probably will still be there. They may actually benefit or win from some of this movement. Like for example, Facebook is really trying to capture on the metaverse place, right? Yeah, I didn't mention metaverse here, but metaverse is also pretty big. There's many tokens related to metaverse and NFT things in Web3 also.
Okay.
Google is also doing a lot of things with GPU, AI, right? And right now one of the biggest trends is AI. See, I didn't even touch on AI because it could be its own like session.
Yeah.
It's very long. So Web3 is basically, you can think of it like a layer. So disrupting many industry or maybe trying to do it better.
Yeah.
So I think two ways people think about Web3. One is like, can be a layer on top, like a technologies layer on top of it, or a separate industry.
Yeah.